Over 200 schools are said to have been damaged by the heavy rains in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, thousands of pupils have been unable to attend classes this week. Let's get the latest now about the impact on schooling in KwaZulu-Natal and speak to the Provincial Education Spokesperson, Muzi Mahlambi. Mr. Mahlambi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Can you just give us the latest from your assessment in terms of the damage that's been done? We are talking here about more than 200 schools have been badly damaged, but one would imagine there's many others that have also been affected in one way or another.
Afternoon to your viewers. When we slept last night, the number was standing at 248, but this morning, because districts keep on providing us with latest information, we were in Pietermaritzburg this morning with the MEC and the head of department, and the latest figure now stands at 262 schools that are damaged. And we are also speaking of over 500 schools that could not operate during the last 3 days when there were heavy rains. And when you speak of learners, that will total into thousands, given the fact that each school will carry a minimum of 400 to 800 learners. So it's something that we are looking into as to how we are going to accommodate our learners and our educators when we come back from Easter weekend in terms of teaching and learning. But we have comfort in the sense that we now have got an experience of how we dealt with the pandemic disruption in terms of stop and go. So we will go back to our arsenal and dig deep into our experience in terms of the measures that we implemented. But this time around, some of the situation is beyond us. In the sense that some of the roads continue to be blocked, not reachable to many of our officials. Hence, the proper assessment, we are unable to make it. But the preliminary report will indicate that the damages are estimated to be over 395 million. But we are very much convinced that it's more than that, and the number will increase when we have got an access to our schools when we reopen on Tuesday.
395 million rand of damage to education infrastructure in the province, and that's a minimum figure, you think?
Yes, that's the preliminary estimate that we can give, given the fact that most of the schools are not reachable because of some roads collapse. So we are unable to dispatch our officials, more especially our engineers, to do the proper assessment as to the damages that have occurred.
Now, Mr. Mahlambi, you say it's preliminary estimates. I mean, we've got 262 schools now damaged. You are estimating on preliminary basis a damage of 395 million rand. That means the number is going to go up. Can normal schooling really resume next Tuesday?
We are very much hopeful that we will be able. Although we know that that's an ideal kind of situation that we hope for, that is the target of going back to our school. It could take 1 or 2 extra days to try and normalize things. That is why we are now talking and looking into how we're going to deal with the issue of the lost time in terms of curriculum coverage. That is why we were referring to the experience that we have had during the pandemic, that we will go back to those measures if it calls for such measures.
Okay, we'll speak to your department again next week just to get a sense of where you are going and as you update. But I mean, sitting already at 395 million rand preliminary estimated damage, that just tells you how bad the devastation has been in terms of this flooding. Thank you very much for your time this hour here on eNCA. Muzi Mahlambi speaking on behalf of the KwaZulu-Natal Education Spokesperson. The latest figures that they've got is 262 schools have been badly damaged.